If you are familiar with the Haleigh Cummings case, you might be starting to wonder if the Summer Wells case is going to play out exactly the same way. Little Haleigh Cummings went missing from Satsuma, Florida on February 10th, 2009. As of today, no one has been arrested and Haleigh has never been found. There are so many striking similarities between both cases. Let's look at them. Haleigh was 5 years old, just like Summer Wells, when she went missing. Just like the Summer Wells case, it was alleged that the father was at work when the child went missing. And just like the Summer Wells case, the facts or the story surrounding the disappearance of Haleigh is questionable and has certainly been speculated on for many years. That maybe the people surrounding the child were not telling the whole truth. Little Haleigh went missing when she was being watched by Dad's live-in girlfriend, Misty Crosland. Misty says that she put the child to sleep in the master bedroom and went to bed herself in the same bed, and that sometime in the middle of the night, she woke up to use the bathroom and poof, the child was gone. Now, later, she changed the story a little bit to the child was sleeping on like a toddler mattress in the same room, but that she wasn't co-sleeping with her. And I'm not really sure why that part of the story changed. I think it was probably because a lot of people were like, what? You were like co-sleeping with her and you didn't hear anybody come in and abduct her? So I speculate that that may be why the story changed, but I don't know that for a fact. Now, right from the beginning, when little Haleigh went missing, people were saying, well, that's odd that an intruder would just come in and steal this child. One of the reasons that people thought that that might be a little bit far-fetched was the location. Sounds familiar, right? One of the big things that people have called a red flag about the abduction theory of Summer Wells was the location of their home, being that it was very remote and it was not on a street or in a neighborhood where you'd have any reason to go there unless you were literally going to their property. Well, little Haleigh was living with Dad and his girlfriend and her little brother in a trailer in Satsuma, Florida. And people that lived there kind of said that, it was pushed back, it was by itself, there wasn't really anything else around, and you really wouldn't have a reason to be there unless you either lived there or you were visiting somebody there. So both stories kind of have a location that makes it questionable if a stranger abduction took place. And I mean, with the Haleigh case, you now have to not only have a stranger come to the location, but they have to physically enter this home and whisk the child away while she's sleeping, and Dad's girlfriend is sleeping either in the same bed or in the same room, depending on which version of the story you're going by. Summer Wells, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, if we are to believe that a stranger came, they have to come to this remote little area in the, hollows of Tennessee, and they have to possibly enter the house while other family members are there, just like Haleigh, a sibling, multiples in Summer's case, mom is somewhere there on the property, or in Summer's case, people speculated maybe she wasn't in the house and she was actually outside, and then she was whisked away by a stranger. But at any rate, both stories have that, location factor to consider when you're thinking about an abduction. Both children seem to be surrounded by a lot of dysfunction and addiction. We heard Candace and Dawn say on multiple occasions that they don't use drugs, they're clean. But clearly, when we have watched interviews and clips of them, we just kind of don't think that's true. And we kind of saw that in the Haleigh Cummings case as well. There were times that specifically Misty seemed to possibly, my opinion, be on something when she was talking. And then there's, just kind of rumors of drug use, not just by the parents, but, friends and people that come to the house. Another interesting thing to point out is that in both cases, there's a grandma who kind of gets pulled into the story and kind of has a lot of speculation around them that they knew more about what happened than they were telling. And not necessarily that they did anything, but that they may know more about what really happened the day or the night that the child went missing. So we know that that happened with Candace's mom. She is blasted on many forums online as having either an actual physical part in the disappearance or at least having guilty knowledge. And we saw that in the case of Haleigh as well. So Grandma, Ronald's mom, was called to the home immediately when Ronald got home and, realized the child was missing. Grandma was there in record time, and you would assume that she was there because obviously her grandchild is missing and she wants to support her son. But a lot of people really have had a lot of suspicion that she knows a lot more than she is saying. And not that, well, actually, let me say, I have actually read online. I was going to say not that she had anything to do with it, but that, again, she may have guilty knowledge that maybe Ronald told her or Misty confessed to her or somebody told her something. But I actually have read online some people who have actually pointed the finger at her and said that they believe that she may have actually been there earlier in the evening when whatever was going down was going down. So I guess we share that with both stories. So there's a grandma pulled into the mix with accusations. Both stories have a cast of characters, and I don't say this to be cruel. I am not by any means, the brightest bulb on the Christmas tree myself. So I'm not trying to be mean when I say this. I'm just trying to say that when you look at both sets of parents, or again, parent and step-parent, girlfriend, whatever, the people that were taking care of the child, they don't come off as over the top genius type people. I'm not, please don't come at me. Don't, comment that I was saying, really mean things about their IQs or anything. I'm not. I'm saying that realistically, they did not strike me as being incredibly educated or intelligent people. And so when you consider the fact that if they are involved in any way in the disappearance of these children, that they have been able to elude police is mind-boggling to me. I mean, I'm reasonably of average IQ, I would think. I cannot imagine that if I suddenly got rid of one of my children by whatever means, I would be able to outsmart the police. I don't even think I'd be able to do that if I, shoplifted, okay? I feel like there's no way I could outsmart law enforcement. Now, it's early with the Summer Wells case, and maybe the police know a lot more than they're telling the public. That is definitely a possibility. So maybe they haven't outsmarted them. Maybe the police are keeping what they know close to the vest and they're not sharing it so that they don't botch the investigation. That is certainly possible. But time is going by. We're a couple of months in and there's been no movement on the case. And it is concerning that possibly somebody might get away with this. We know somebody, at least for 12 years, has gotten away with the disappearance of Haleigh Cummings. And if anybody in her immediate circle was involved in it, which is highly probable, they've outsmarted law enforcement because no one has ever been charged. Now, Misty and Ronald are both in prison, but they are in prison for drug charges, for selling and distributing drugs. And actually, both of them got hefty sentences. And a lot of people think that it was a move on the police and the judge to maybe inspire them to, tell what they know about Haleigh's disappearance. If that was the plan, it hasn't worked. Neither one of them have said anything different today than they said 12 years ago. Now, like I said, Misty's story did change a lot. It varied in the beginning, but she has maintained her innocence for 12 years. Ronald has maintained his innocence and that he knew nothing about it. Now, there has been over the years a whole heck of a lot of speculation of other people that may have been involved that are connected to the family and connected to Misty in particular. Like the Summer Wells story, there have been allegations in Misty's family, people that have supposedly talked among the family, saying that they know for a fact that other family members were involved, as revenge was thrown out there, drug debt was thrown out there. At one point, supposedly there was a cousin or somebody who, one of the stories was that he came there to get a gun, steal a gun, do whatever, and when he couldn't find it because he was so out of his mind on drugs, he freaked out and he took and killed Haleigh. But these are all just rumors, because like I said, nobody has been charged and no body has been found. So whatever the family knows, if they're telling law enforcement, or if law enforcement has followed up on these as reliable leads, who knows? But if they did, I guess nothing came of it. They certainly never found the child, and they certainly have never been able to hold anybody accountable. And it just blows my mind. It blows my mind that these people have been able to outsmart law enforcement. Both families were riddled with dysfunction. Both families were riddled, like I said, with drug use and possibly haphazard parenting. Interestingly, both fathers seem to have a decent paying job, decent wage, and yet both families seem to live as if they were in poverty. I understand that the Wells own their own home, but just looking at it, it's in dire need of an overhaul, both cosmetically, hygienically, and really, I hate to say it, I hate to be so mean, but they're living in squalor. That is like the only word that comes to my mind. They're living in squalor. With Haleigh Cummings, the house was not dirty at all. It actually looked really tidy inside, but they were living in a small little trailer in an area that is predominantly low income, in a little trailer park. And it just strikes me, because when you look at both dads, like I said, they had good jobs and they were making a decent wage, yet both families seem to be living in a way that would make you think that they were living in poverty. But if there's addiction happening, that's really not uncommon, I hate to say. But if the money was going to priorities that were not housing and other things, and it was going on drugs, then that would explain that. So, those are some of the similarities that jumped out at me. The age of the child, the fact that the location really makes supporting a stranger abduction kind of unlikely. Not that it couldn't happen, but unlikely. Both children seem to be living in conditions that weren't the greatest, and with caretakers who, maybe just didn't have their priorities straight and were struggling with outside influences such as drugs. There are grandparents that seem to be thrown under the bus in the story that we really don't know what their part is. I mean, we really don't know what anybody's part is, but we really don't know what grandma's part is. And in both stories, unfortunately, there's more rumors and speculation than there are facts. And the little facts that we thought we knew, they change so much that just when you think you know it, you no longer do. You don't know what's fact. You don't know what's fiction. You don't know what is just a tall tale. And the whole time, there's this missing child. And the people that were there, the last ones to see the child, can't seem to give a concise and clear story as to what happened. In both cases, there were lie detectors administered. In the case of Haleigh, Misty took a lie detector test, and she stated for a long time on television that she passed that with flying colors. I think that might have even been her exact words. Don't quote me, but I think she actually did say that. And then we later found out that that wasn't true. And a lot of people have been wondering if maybe the Wells saying that they passed their lie detectors may not be completely accurate either. So there you have it. A lot of similarities in the cases. Really hoping that we don't have a second Haleigh Cummings case on our hands, because we want Summer found and we want somebody held accountable for where she's been all this time. And of course, in the case of Haleigh Cummings, we still hope that someday she is found, at least maybe her remains are found, and she can be laid to rest properly. And we certainly hope that somebody at some point is held accountable, and that we finally learn the truth of what happened that night in Satsuma, Florida, and who was the one who either took this child, hurt this child, hid this child. We don't know. But we hope that someday we do, because 12 years is a long time for a little girl to be missing with no answers. So if you know the story, if you're familiar with the Haleigh Cummings case, and you can think of anything else that is similar between the two stories, drop it in the comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you even knew who Haleigh Cummings was. That was also a fascinating case. And if you have any information on either one of these cases, please let law enforcement know, because both of these little girls need to be brought home, hopefully alive, and if not, at least to be put to rest. So thanks for listening, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.